WFWP readers, members, and friends all over the world, welcome to the WFWP International Webinar. My name is Paris Moon. I'm International Secretary General. Thank you for joining WFWP International Webinar. Today, our International President, Dr. Julia Moon, is here with us today. Thank you. Let's introduce today's webinar moderator, Ms. Marcia Abreu. She is the WFWP Spain President and WFWP Europe Secretary General. We are delighted to have Ms. Marcia Abreu as today's webinar moderator. Marcia, floor is yours.
Thank you, Mrs. Paris. Thank you. Greetings to our international president and to our distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, welcome to this webinar today. My name, as it's being said, is Marcia de Abreu, your moderator. And before we start, I would like to make a few announcements. First, there will be translation from English into Korean, Japanese, Spanish, French, Russian, and Thai. And if you have questions throughout the webinar, feel free to add them into the question and answer box. You are welcome to chat in the chat box amongst yourselves as much as you want, but be aware that we won't be checking the chat for questions and answers. We'll be looking into the question and answer box. We apologize in advance if we are not able to get to your questions. There are many people in this webinar, and sometimes we don't have enough time to get to the questions made by everyone. So thank you for understanding. So we are happy to welcome you to the WFWP webinar on women entrepreneurship, hosted by the Women's Federation for World Peace International. WFWP was founded in 1992 and is an NGO in general consultative status with the United Nations Economic and Social Council, operating in over 120 nations throughout the world. Now I will take the opportunity to introduce our panelists and ask them to share with us their thoughts on the theme, Women Entrepreneurs. Self-employment has been blossoming over the past decade. In the webinar, WFWP would like to introduce women entrepreneurs who evaluated their ideas for a successful business. Panelists will present their best practice successes and the decision-making processes that have contributed to effectively tackling the enormous crisis in their diverse areas of responsibility. Please join me in welcoming our first guest speaker, Madame Petronila Moliov. Madame Moliov is a mother of 3 boys, a young entrepreneur, a recipient of the Queen's Young Leaders, and most recently, the 2021 Mary Robinson Award. She is passionate about youth-driven spaces because she believes that we have the capacity to be innovative in ways to change our lives and impact the way we react towards our challenges. She advocates for women empowerment and believes that we need to bring men into the conversation because we need everyone to achieve it. So, Madame Moliov, the floor is yours.
Cauliflower from the beautiful islands of Samoa. I am so grateful for the opportunity to be able to present and to share, what entrepreneurship looks like on this side of the world. And I'm so thankful to the Women Federation for World Peace for giving me the opportunity to speak and to be in this space with a lot of amazing, innovative women that are doing the most now just to stay afloat and to care for their families and loved ones during the pandemic. So I'm very thankful to be here with you all today. I am sure that a lot of us are familiar with the word entrepreneur, and I hear it a lot now during the lockdown, which is crazy how people are trialing and taking risks, creating the tangible products and services, and saying to the million people on social media that this is what I can make, and these are the services that I have the ability to provide. So to simply put, an entrepreneur has the ability, or entrepreneur is a risk taker and has the ability to identify problems, coming up with solutions to solve this problem. That is what you call entrepreneurship. Because of the support for young entrepreneurship in my country, before I struggled a lot with communicating across my idea. And when you talk about your idea, it's the same as talking about yourself. What are your passion? What drives you? Why do you think that this is an issue that you're qualified to talk about? Why this time and why you? So because of those struggles and the support that I was given, I was mentored and I'm taught to be able to communicate that across. And I know that I didn't really mastered it quite well, because it still reflected on the promotional flyer for this webinar. As you've seen, I am just a young entrepreneur from Samoa, so you guys have no idea what I'm going to talk about, and I consciously left that out for a reason. Instead, the bio that I've given the team when they asked me is who I am as a person. Like, I am a mother, and what my beliefs are, what I stand for, and what excites me. I've sat in a lot of entrepreneurship meetings, and I've had the privilege to be in our mentorship and accelerator programs that were available to us in Samoa. And I've learned that the key to starting a business lies in the idea. And whether we will understand it or not from the beginning, the idea is heavily weighted by your impact. So I wanted to ask the audience, what is your idea? And to think for a moment, who will be impacted when your idea is in action? So in understanding this, you will solidify your why, and this why will anchor you in challenging times and will keep reminding you of why you started your business in the first place, especially now with COVID-19 and the pandemic that we are all in. So just like any other idea out there, the answers to these questions are heavy. And as women, the answers that we will provide, we will always be shaped by the commitments we find ourselves in. And our answer will encompass everyone whom we love and care for. So when women start a business, or when women start a movement, they leave no one behind. So in doing so, I wanted to tell you a story of how I found, or I understood, the impact of one of the initiatives that I was interested in and later joined that has impacted my life to this day. I'd like to tell you a story of the Falamasi Revival Project. I joined a social initiative that my late grandmother started with the women in her village. It was called the Falamasi Project at the time, and later continued on by my mother and her sister-in-laws, hence Falamasi Revival Project. The aim was to financially empower women in my community whom are staying home to care for their families by weaving colorful stranded mats like the one you saw in the first slide to sell. The falamasi takes 2 weeks to practice, and once you've mastered it, it'll take you 2 to 3 days to complete it. At the time, I was running a family-owned accommodation, and I took interest in the initiative. We got a trainer from the Women's Committee in Faleapuna to train me and my staff to weave, to help with the supply and demand the falamasi received. It started as just something to do when business was slow, and it then turned into a weave house of 5 women sharing their emotional truth, their challenges that they face every single day, and being vulnerable with each other. Oftentimes, a lot of the healing happened in the space. The falamasi was not just about creating. It was about skill building and an opportunity to activate our creative thinking, and thus fostering leadership skills and entrepreneurship when the girls became their own boss and continues to teach and weave to today. Thus creating an initiative that is close to home for them, being able to take care of their families without taking too much away from their many commitments of being caregivers. It impacted our community given that our women weren't leaving their homes to help earn a living, and passing the knowledge down to their children and family members that are staying home with them. The impact of our small weave house gave me the confidence to share our story, and it just so happens that I stumbled upon an advertisement on social media, yes, it was Facebook, about the Queen's Young Leaders Award. I then applied, and the initiative was later recognized by Her Majesty the Queen, and I've had the honor to meet her in Buckingham Palace in 2018. So what has this journey taught me? To not be afraid to unpack on your idea. Your idea will be tested because you're an entrepreneur, you're a risk taker. You will find yourself in a lot of the spaces, and you will find yourself dialoguing with like-minded people. So if you're not questioning your idea and understanding your impact enough to tell a story, somebody else will test it. Seek entrepreneurship support. With this, I remember one of my friends in the Solomon Island, Millicent Barty's quote, and she shared that entrepreneurship is a very lonely journey. It is just yourself being your worst critic, being your best friend, being your soundboard. So you need that support. Seek entrepreneurship support that is relevant and that is available for you in your country. Make use of this federation, Women Federation for World Peace. I believe that there is a plethora of innovative business women out there that are just as creative with how their thinking process and how they come up with that light bulb moment, and I'm sure that they can help you set up with your idea and how to set up your business during the pandemic. There is a lot of great opportunities out there on social media. I know that during the pandemic, social media has not had a lot of positive impacts. I can speak about that from my country, but you really need to pay close attention. There is a lot of opportunities out there and a lot of support for women entrepreneurs. And to think that we stopped here, no. As you can see, my grandmother is preparing her homemade coffee beans, preparing to be roasted. So manufacturing her own turmeric powder to use in coconut oils for her many grandchildren. The possibilities to be creative and to start from a creative space are endless. I hope that this has helped someone out there to know that creating products A humble product from your own hands is not degrading. In a pre-world that we lived in, where an office job was ideal, returning to our old ways is the best way forward. Learning to be self-sufficient and seeing our problems up close and personal, because no one else is going to solve it but us. With that, I conclude my presentation all the way from the beautiful islands of Samoa, the heart of the Pacific, sending you all the alofas from this side of the world. Manu teleina tatu fa'amoemoe fa'atsai telelava. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Madame Moliov, for such an excellent presentation. Excellent business, colorful, exciting. It's wonderful to be able to use the produce of our land and develop it into products that are beautiful and exciting to other people. Thank you. We already have questions, but they will be asked at the end of the panel, at the same time for every panelist. So thank you again. And I will introduce now our next presenter, Madame Rarin Pongma. Madame Pongma is a Thai self-made female entrepreneur. She is the CEO and founder of Christina Gray Group Company Limited, CEO and co-founder of iCapital Technology Company Limited, and the CEO, founder, and designer behind ONB, a fashion brand that was launched in 2012 that produces designer shoes and handbags. Her ONB ballerina pumps, for which she is most known for, gained global recognition in 2018 after an exclusive collaboration with Anna Dello Russo during Milan Fashion Week. She has received a number of awards and accolades in Thailand for her success in design and fashion e-commerce. So, Madame Pongma, you have the floor now.
Hello, Marcia. Hello,
Hello.
everyone. Okay, so I would like to share my slide. Okay, for everyone. Okay, first, hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here today sharing my experience, and I hope it will be useful for some of you who would like to have the new idea or an inspiration for your business. So today, I will talk about women entrepreneurship in the digital age. My name is Rarin Pongma. I am CEO and co-founder of Christina Gray Group. So the first one, Christina Gray Group, is a fashion group. Here, we have many brands in our portfolio. The most famous one is ONB. It's well known for stylish and comfy shoes. ONB have more than 1.4 million followers on social media. And we have sold more than 600,000 pair of shoes worldwide since 2012. So I am a typical Gen Y, and the typical Gen Y, we don't want to live in someone else's dream. I started to pursue my dream 9 years ago without any knowledge of business, without any connections, and with only $3,000 in my pocket. It's crazy when you look back with $3,000 today, plus my experience, plus my connection. I don't think I can make it happen. But because I made it happen back then, So I decided to make a list of what I have done right and use that to make my business grow stronger, even with this pandemic. Here are my 5 takeaways from my business in digital age. Okay, here. First, all about idea. When you start something, the first thing you need to take care and the first thing you need to focus is idea. When I started the company as a young and ambitious entrepreneur, I thought if I work hard enough, I can accomplish anything, which is true, but not always. After I opened the company for 2 years, I worked day in, day out from 9 till midnight every day for 2 years, just to find out that I didn't make any profit. So I stepped back and tried to figure out what happened. I put all my effort in. I worked like crazy, but it didn't work. After a couple of months, I finally figured it out. I was just doing it the wrong way with the wrong idea. From that day on, every time I start a new project or I decided to launch a new product, I think things through and through to make sure that's the right idea to put all my effort in. All good ideas have the same story. It requires a small amount of capital. The operation is simple and you can make money from it easily. Of course, a bad idea will take all of your time and all of your capital. So, idea first, and the rest will come later. Number 2, never stop learning. I think this is easy for everybody here. That is why we are here in this webinar. I started my business when there was no Instagram. We still use BB or BlackBerry. It sounds like long time ago, but do you believe that it's been only 10 years? In digital age, everything changed not quickly, but extremely quickly. One day you are in, another day you can be out. That is why the word FOMO or fear of missing out is very popular now. Every morning, the first thing that I need to do that is I need to check the news on the application like a TechSource, Crunchbase, or Business of Fashion to keep myself updated on fashion and technology. Every social media platform has their own community also for entrepreneurs. Like Facebook, you can take Facebook business from Facebook. I found that being a member of this kind of support groups will help you a lot when you want to promote your business. Their rules and policy will change from time to time. So if you stay in the group, you know the news before the other, and they will give you a good tips to promote your business and help you stay on course. You can contact your local social media office directly, and from my experience, they will eagerly help you. 3, I think this one is one of the most important for every entrepreneur. Believe in yourself. No one will understand your business more than you. Don't let anyone's opinion or insight influence you without thinking about it truly, even if they are a professional or an expert in that field. I remember once in 2017, me and my team decided to hire a digital agency to monitor and manage our Facebook advertising because my friend talked about how great this agency helped them. So I thought to myself, why not? It would be nice to have a professional team helping us. just because we consider ourselves not professional or that we didn't have enough experience. Even though the fee was crazy expensive, but we want to try it out anyway. I think you can guess what happened next. Their performance was not as good as ours, just because they didn't take care of our business like we do. So I learned two big things that day. Don't underestimate yourself, and no one will love and understand your business more than you. It doesn't mean that I don't hire people to help me do things that I'm not capable of. But before I spend the money on something or hire someone, I will make sure that first, I don't underestimate myself or my team or overestimate someone. And I always follow my gut when I make the big decision. For open as many distribution channels as you can. One of my principles is that I always remind myself and my team, never put all your eggs in one basket. From my experience, the more distribution channels like online marketplace, social media platforms, or stores you open, the more bargaining power you have. These principles have helped me gotten through this pandemic because we were forced to close all our stores due to the lockdown. Fortunately, we have a strong e-commerce and also we have a good relationship with the online marketplace. Even though last year our sales dropped slightly, but we think we are lucky. We didn't have to close down like many other companies. More choice mean more opportunities. The last one, be agile. Time change, strategy change. When I start my business, everybody was so excited about e-commerce. 4 to 5 years later, people start getting used to shopping online, but not everything sold online. Nowadays, we can buy everything online, and I mean everything. Take my friend for example. Her service is you can hire her to pray and to worship any shrine in Thailand. And she has a customer all around the world, even during this pandemic. Being agile is one of our company DNA to make sure that we have the right plan, the right strategy at the right time. Our goal has always stayed the same, but our plans constantly change depending on the situation. So this is my 5 takeaways from my business in digital age. Thank you everyone here. I hope my experience will be beneficial for some of you. I am a normal person just like everyone here. Many people have asked me if there is a single piece of advice I can give to someone. What would it be? It would be to never give up. Sometimes I go slow. Sometimes I take a break. Many times I fail, but I never give up. So I'm here to tell you that no one can stop you except yourself. So never give up, everyone. Thank you and good luck. Thank you, Masha.
Thank you. Thank you. I was just waiting for my image to come on. Yes. Thank you, Madame Songma. Very important presentation. Good clues for anyone who wants to start a business. Important clues: never stop learning, believe in yourself. Many good points. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So we'll keep talking later on at the end of the panel. As I said before, the questions will come later. And I would like to go on and introduce our last speaker, Madame Phipp Preuss. Madame Preuss is a Samoan entrepreneur, community cultural development practitioner, and marine environmental activist, and co-founder of Living Cocoa, a no-waste cacao chocolate manufacturing space that supports rural economic opportunities in her homeland of Samoa. She's also a teacher of traditional Pacifica dance, specializing in Hawaiian hula and ori Tahiti, with the Nuholani Polynesian dance. I'm sorry about any mistakes. Dance school. She is the artistic director and founder of Valiusu, a culturally safe theater and production company based in Melbourne's West. So you are most welcome, Mr. Preuss. You have the floor now.
Thank you. Talofa lava. O te whia whaatu lou mal o loto atoa, e mamoli se whaapetai te le lava I matua a. O the Wurundjeri and the Burrarong people of the Kulin Nations, I first come to you with my head bowed and my heart in my hands to acknowledge the Indigenous people and the lands that I am presenting from today, which is the Wurundjeri and the Burrarong people from the Kulin Nations in Australia. I feel really honored to be sharing this space with such an inspiring group of women. And I want to acknowledge the Women's Federation for World Peace for bringing us all together, and also to all of you for joining us. So my name is Phipp Preuss. I'm a Samoan Indigenous woman, an entrepreneur, and kinships position me within this world, activating my cultural identity and connection to my lands across the Pacific, to lands, to people, to ancestors, and to relationships with all species. My responsibility lies in ensuring that these kinships are approached with respect and reciprocity and a shared value. And these kinships and values are a huge part of our business, Living Cocoa. So I'm going to split my presentation today into 3 parts. I'm going to talk about our business's values and principles, and then I'll talk a little bit about myself and I guess what I've done to navigate a crazy world of starting your own business, and then I'll give a few tips on things that I learned probably the hard way. So Living Cocoa is a bean to bar cacao creative space, and it specializes in creating inclusive chocolates like drinking cacao and cacao husk tea. We established the business in 2015, and it's a simple PTY Ltd with 2 directors. A small business based on Indigenous Wurundjeri country, also known as Nam, Melbourne, Australia. We source the majority of our ingredients from small Pacific island farms, and over the last 2 years, our imports from the Pacific to Australia has increased by over 1,200%. With the lack of tourism in our Pacific islands due to COVID lockdowns, many people are turning back to the land, and we're working really hard to find markets for their cacao and other produce. We have a no waste manufacturing space. And so we also focus on supplying retailers with bulk whole foods, and they have bulk whole foods, and they have a bring your own container philosophy. When our products are packaged, it's in home compostable and biodegradable packaging. We focus on creating like delicious cacao creations, but we also want it to be good for you and for the planet. Our foods connect us to our ancestors, our lands, and our history, and we work to support food sovereignty in the Pacific Islands. Knowing the foods ngafa, the genealogy of our foods, we feel is really important and can support a respectful relationship with foods, with the environment, and then within ourselves. Our organization, Living Koko, is immersed in family and Samoan history. My ancestors and family still to this day use traditional ways of cultivating cacao, ensuring that the health of Papa, of our earth, is supported, and knowing in turn that they will be honored. There is a reciprocity that lies when we honor the land. And working with cacao is a full sensory experience. There are relational spaces between farmer and the cosmos, cosmos and the earth, earth and the seed, seed and the seedlings, seedlings and the natural environment, and then from the tree into the community. And for our business, our best practices actually revolve around some really fundamental principles of authenticity, of transparency, of trying to create a no waste manufacturing space, and ensuring that we approach all these spaces ready for talanoa. So talanoa is a Pacific Island concept of deep communication, which I'll talk about more later. So I'm going to start with authenticity. From the very beginning, for us, speaking about cacao is like talking about another family member, someone that we really care about deeply. So growing up in a family of cacao cultivators, the essence of conversations are on how do we grow more resilient plants? How are our external factors affecting the growth of our cacao? So raising koko or cacao to maturity takes patience and appreciation. We want to educate our community here and everywhere, on the difference between confectionery-based chocolate as opposed to cacao, which is a whole food with wellness benefits. Our authenticity lies in understanding the genesis of our product, where it comes from, whose hands have supported the creation of it, and all the reasons why we have created this business. We have generational knowledge at our fingertips, and we're honest and authentic as to why we started the business. And this leads to ensuring everyone within our chain feels valued and supported, which includes the right compensation for their contribution. We are completely transparent about our practices and business methods. So having walked firsthand the journey from seed to community gives us a really deep understanding on climate change challenges, post-harvesting techniques, and also the Samoan way, the Samoan way of life. We have direct relationships with those involved at every step of the way, and this transparency also opens up talanoa, a deeper communication with the farming community on the true costs of living and the monetary worth of their cacao. As a business, for our business, we want to give full disclosure to our employees because we want everyone to feel and emulate those ethical standards. And this is the culture that we're building. Transparency builds trust within our team and within farming community, and then within those that enjoy our koko. We work really hard. We work too hard to ensure that through our processes and decision-making processes, we are honoring the relationship from community to the earth and earth to community. Our no waste manufacturing space makes sure that we use all the components of the cacao. In Samoa, the cacao pods are used for the mulch for planting the seeds. The leaves that are pruned off the tree are then placed at the trunk of the trees, and they self-compost, and that ends up creating a natural pesticide for the trees. When we take the bean, we roast the bean, and then we remove the pa'u, the skin, and that skin is now a cacao husk tea. The inner bean, which is nibs, We create nibs, drinking cacao, and chocolate from that. With the cacao that is kind of unfit for consumption, because sometimes I've roasted the batch the wrong way, we started a skincare range with a skincare specialist called Le Spa du Jour. And this is called Cocoa Smooth. We also sourced more ingredients from small Pacific Island farms to add to our chocolate for this skincare. And the profit of Cocoa Smooth goes towards assisting the small plot farmers with post-harvesting processes and infrastructure. Being creative, trying to be creative with our byproducts has actually helped us add value to the bean and contributes to the sustainability of our business as a self-funded enterprise. But to successfully navigate our cornerstone business practices, we must apply the Pacific Island concept of talanoa. In the United Nations Climate Change 2018, they describe talanoa as a word used across the Pacific to reflect a process of inclusive, participatory, and transparent dialogue. So we spend time to share our stories, which helps us build empathy and then allows us to make wise decisions for the collective good. It involves sharing ideas, skills, and experience all through storytelling. Blaming others and making critical observations are inconsistent with building mutual trust and respect, and therefore inconsistent with the talanoa concept. In most of our business activations, we begin and continue with talanoa, opening up a safe space of mutual respect to support everyone's journey. We also understand that everyone hears really differently, conversations differently, and that's all based on their own experiences. So prior to making decisions, we also gather business intel, information from our elders and community leaders that gives us situational awareness, which helps guide those business decisions. We have consciously developed a network of other business entrepreneurs, both Pacifica and non-Pacifica, that have similar values to bounce ideas off, as well as business strategists who helps us bring our philosophies and decision-making processes into our business development frameworks. I also wanted to talk a little bit about my personal story and the storms I had to navigate trying to set up a business when I had absolutely no understanding of what I was doing. Like, it wasn't easy. At first, I was trying to do things intuitively and just go with the flow, but I soon learned the importance of finding the right people around me to help flesh up some of my burning questions. But prior to finding them, my business life was really lonely, and it had started to affect my mental health. I went from working in a company where I worked in one department, I had one hat on, and I knew exactly what I was doing showing up to work every day, to being the sole employee for one business. I was the manufacturer, the sales department, the marketing department, the accounting department, and the IT department. So I researched endlessly, podcasts, anything that could help me understand what I was taking on. Being a business that also had a shared valued approach and a care factor that stretched from earth, farmer, plantation, post-harvest community, and customers was very different from what I was faced with in a Western space. And at times it felt so overwhelming and debilitating. I knew that if this business was going to be successful, I needed to also enjoy the success and focus on the abundance I was creating. And that abundance was not in my bank accounts. There was no money coming in. But what I was learning was my capacity and how much I could actually achieve. I realized that money is just one of the currencies within a business. And when I sat in the living kokova in our canoe, and I could see underneath in our journey that there were so many different currencies keeping this canoe afloat, I knew that money was just one of them. Also, as a woman pushing this canoe forward, like a canoe in an open seas being susceptible to the tidal changes and environment, I wanted to work in with my definition of what being a woman meant, and I wanted to honor it. Within my business, I started to consider the secular monthly rhythms and schedule my meetings and my work schedule accordingly. So similar to permaculture methodologies, which is the methodologies that our Indigenous farmers are using, I guess I saw myself as the soil, an important foundation for the business to develop. There are 4 weeks within the cycle. The first week within permaculture cycles is to plant the leafy greens. The second is the fruit. The third is the root plants. And the fourth, you look after your soils. So for the first, the full moon, it was all about new ideas, new concepts. What are our goals? Time to get creative. The fruits were the following week, working on all those ideas, developing them into fruits. The third was the roots. Okay, it's time for reflection, deep reflection. Where were we actually at? How did we get through all those goals, or did we need to accept where we were at and make sure that we plan to continue with them for the following month? And then the next one was focusing on the soils, focusing on my team. A time to go gently with myself, my team, and honor us, reflect an appreciation on the lessons that we had learned. And also set us up for the following week with the intention and goal setting starts all over again. This helped me ensure that I was showing up to myself and my business the best way that I could for the energy levels that I had. We are women, and I believe using these rhythms can also be our superpower. It aids us to not burn out and to continue self-care and not to force what is not working and save it for the right week. So just to wrap up, I'm going to give 3 practical examples of how I grew my business. The first is I really had to understand my why and my values. Why am I doing this business? What are my values and what are my business's values? Are they aligned? When you know that, you will be able to write your social media, write your website copy, and recognize things that don't align with you sooner. You'll have the intel to turn away time-wasting projects. The second is to think hard and big about who you eventually want to sell to and where you sit on that value chain. Are you a manufacturer, a distributor, a wholesaler? Are you selling straight to the consumer? At each step, your product's journey, you need to make sure that you've considered a fair profit margin at each point. And I see so many home business people not taking into consideration what they could sell their goods for at wholesale or at distribution. There is a fair and reasonable percentage bracket, and whatever you do, don't let people squeeze you out of that bracket. Figure out what your minimum order quantities are. How many products does someone have to pay to get your wholesale price or your distribution price? And don't forget all your costs, not just your time and your materials, but your inner packaging, your outer packaging, your postage packaging, your tape for your box, your time, power, water, electricity, everything. Get together your true costs. And the third one is once you realize who you want to sell with and who your audience is in your community, figure out a strategy to communicate with them. And the strategy can be very simple. If you want to sell to wholesalers, if you want to sell to a retail shop, the strategy can be, okay, I'm going to contact 10 stores this week, and I'm going to try and speak to their purchasing team. And maybe I'll get an email, a generic email that I can send something to and give them my little spiel about what my products are. 3 days after emailing, I'm going to call and gauge interest and maybe just check in. Maybe you can visit it, the places too. I personally went to all the stores that I wanted my products in at first and developed relationships with the staff. I bought from them, I talked to them about the best ways to display and approach other businesses. They shared with me these amazing pearls of wisdoms that helped shape my pitch and my relationships moving forward. Never stop asking questions gently. and find out what you can do to make their lives easier too and help them sell your products. Again, always being open to talanoa, sharing, learning, and growing. I really appreciated this opportunity to give you an insight into our business's practices that we feel suit our business at this stage of development. But I'm also very aware that businesses need to evolve and they need to grow. And whilst these practices serve us well, I've been so keen to hear from the others on this panel about their business practices and how it served them. So thank you, Rarin and Petronila, and also thank you, Marcia. It's been a great opportunity. Also, thank you to all that are here and to the Women's Federation for World Peace for creating such an amazing platform for us to talanoa. Thank you.
Shall I come in?
Yes, Annabelle.
Yes, yes.
Marcia, you don't have to wait. You can start.
But I would like to see my image, actually. Well, I would like to thank you for such an amazing presentation. I could say many things about it. The fact that you got to know your land and you want to understand your land and develop your business in harmony with it. This is amazing and wonderful. And all the points that you also made about transparency, hard work. And so thank you very much. There are many questions coming in for all of you. Thank you for your inspiring messages and teaching others about your, or sharing, better said, sharing with others about your processes. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the question and answer session. And let me start. I'll have to open here my cell phone. And I have one for Petronila Moliov. One question for you, Petronila. I guess we would all come into the screen now. Will we come to the screen? Okay, here I am. Okay, I could not see myself anyway. So the question is, sorry, for Petronila Moliov, how did you develop the sales channel?
Thank you so much. I saw that first question and I thought, with the, I think with the entrepreneurship, I took it a little different. The Falamasi Revival Project was a social enterprise, and it was a movement within the community. And we did not think too much about the sales. We focused more on Facebook, and we stayed on Facebook because in Samoa, Facebook is very huge. And just to give you a little bit of background, Samoa has 180,000 people. So you could tell a lot from, you know, how small it is. And communication wise, with the Falamasi, I forgot to add that in. The Falamasi is used very much for bridal gifts, bridal dowry. And when we get to have our weddings, it's a huge, these are massive occasions. And when we do get to the point where our families will spend a lot of money,
because of their loved ones, and that is how we made our sale. The money will return back to the women that were in our village. And one thing that we wanted to keep it sustainable is to keep marketing the products. There's something that we call here coconut wireless. So Facebook is fast, but the word of mouth is faster here in the country. It's as I said, it's very, very slow. And one of the great things is that I think my mother's position was another good thing for us. My mother was running, and she included herself in a lot of non-government organizations, and she had a lot of connections, so she was able to share. And just like as Phipp said, if you notice from my presentation, it was telling a story, and this is how we communicate. We share our emotional truth, and we talk about how there's a lot of empathy that happens when we tell the story, because we're trying to get the person to understand by living, in the rural areas, what you as a mother, and we were involved a lot in the Samo victim support group, and we saw that a lot of mothers who are staying home are the ones that are affected with domestic violence. And we tried to think of something, or it could be that they're not earning as well, that they do not have a say, in the family. And that could have been something just to soften the blow and just to help them, know their worth. There's a lot of magic that happens when you create something, and then when you're able to provide for your family, regardless. If you're not working, you can still stay home and earn some extra funds for your family, just to make it easier. But unfortunately, we know that money is not always a factor in it. There's a lot of factors regarding domestic violence, but in regards with sales channel, Facebook is the way. Samo is very small. I hope that answers your question.
I think it does. In any case, I would like to ask some help from your side. In order that we get to as many questions as possible, your answers cannot be very, very long. The shortest possible. So next question is to Mrs. Pongma. It has some explanations, but I think it's a valid question. We suppose that the business model you propose would give special importance to the degree of customers' satisfaction with the company's products and services. So the question, there are two questions related to this initial statement. Would you give the same importance to evaluating the satisfaction of your employees? And the second, how would you evaluate the degree of satisfaction of your employees?
Oh, this is a good question. I think for my company, we have two types of customer. One is the real customer. Second is our employee as a customer. Because when we create the company, we can work by ourselves. Like I can do everything by myself. So I need a backup. I need the staff. I need the team that I can trust to help me expand the business. And I think from this idea, even the first employee is still with us today. So she worked with us 9 years, and we are not a family. Like, when we talk about like you build a company, many people like, oh, we are like a family. We live like, we work like a family. But in our company, we are not family, we are a team. We work as a teamwork. So I think this is the most important thing. First, you need to work well. Second, And then the company provide the best environment, the best like workspace, the best let's say the best like profit back to you. I think this is the idea.
Yes, thank you. Very clear. Very clear. Employees need to feel well in
Yes.
their work environment, as they spend so much time actually working. So they need to feel inspired to do what they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Our next question is to Mrs. Preuss. Do you have a website for your business?
Yes, I actually just messaged that person privately. So it's www.livingkoko, so livingcoco.com.
Mm-hmm. And there is something else here. I'm wondering if you have a plan to include a recycling project to help deal with the environmental issues that comes with, well, this is not for you fashions, but you're not working with, it's under your name, but this would be for Mrs. Pongma, I think.
I think so.
I think, yes.
Okay.
I think you have a problem because the fashion industries do not think about this. So what would you say to this comment?
Okay. So about this issue, I talked to my team like 2 or 3 years ago about this issue. It's a big one. And we are so concerned that we would like to do something better. So every year we have the, let's say, the commitment for our customer. Like this year, we start to reduce all the plastic package. We use only recycle. And then the next year for the plan, we would like to have the new product line, help our local farmer, maybe local like local business, help to promote worldwide. And also we want to create the new material that help people, that help the world, and create the fashion sustainable, good for everyone. So the plan is go step by step when we talk about like fashion sustainable. We can do like we can't, for my idea, we can do like dramatic change, like, okay, one day you are like, we sell the leather, and then the another day you will change everything. But what we do is like, we do step by step. And then finally, I hope in the next 5 years, we will do like something like 100% material from plant-based or something good for the planet. This is our plan also.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Now a question for Mrs. Preuss. And were you able to find new markets for the cacao and other produce by the people who went back to their lands? Were you able to find markets in the end?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah. Were you able to find new markets for the products that were produced by the people who went back to their land? Because you mentioned something about that. People had to go back to their land due to COVID.
Yes, so due to COVID and having no tourism in the Pacific Islands, there have been a lot of people that are going back to the lands and tending the lands. A few years ago, so a cacao plant or tree takes about 3.5 years to grow fruit. So as I said, it's a long and very patient process. A few years ago, an organization called Savai Koko, with a local government program, were giving out free seedlings. And this is also something that we supported. They gave out free seedlings to anyone who wanted to cultivate cacao. And this was great for Samoa. Obviously, a few years have passed now, and these trees are starting to fruit. So before COVID, I was bringing in only about 500 kilos of cacao a year. And then last year we brought in 6,000 kilos. So there was a huge increase. There were people who had been tending to the lands and then looking for a market, and having our post-harvesting techniques and processes in place to ensure that the koko that came was of the quality that we could make chocolate and fine chocolate with. We were able to bring over 6,000. So we have found markets for it, because we just ordered our next 6,000. So it's arriving in a few months, and hoping it to hit, I know, I'm super excited. I'm hoping to hit 10,000 in, by the end of maybe next year. So yeah, we're going to continue to find markets as long as the cocoa can be supplied.
Thank you, Mrs. Price. I have one last question, which is for the three of you. And so you'll take turns in answering them, and maybe that would be your last statement, if you like to make it the last statement, if you don't have anything else to say. How do you achieve work and family balance? So let's start with Ms. Moliov.
Oh wow, what a very heavy question, because what we are doing right now is we're just going by with the flow. I know that balance is very important now, but with us in Samoa, we take our family with us everywhere. So when we do answer, when we carry our families with us, and I think that is our balance, is that we have been bred and groomed to the point where taking up your family and work as well is the same. And you know that if you're going through jobs or cases with your work, your family is always there for you to fall on if there's anything that is challenging you. So yeah, that's my last bit.
Okay, so Mrs. Pongma.
For my experience, the bigger company you have, the more free time you have also, because you have the team. But I think for my case, I focus on management and also the staff. So I carefully pick the manager or maybe executive team who can help me and save my time. That is why, like the bigger company I have, the more free time I have.
Okay, thank you. You had said something already about your family and your team earlier. Thank you. Mrs. Price?
Yeah, the work-life balance, especially with family, is a hard one. Luckily, well, for living koko, it brings me back home to Samoa, so where my family is. So because of my business, I get to go home and see my family 2-3 times a year. So that is a huge blessing for me. But as in the day-to-day grind, as Rarin was saying, you know, when you have a small business, you work from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to sleep. And in your dreams, you pretty much do risk management. You can dream some of the worst things that will happen in your business and find the solutions through them. So I've put now scheduling within my week. I schedule the evenings, I block out time to make sure that I'm present with my family, that I'm not on social media the whole time, going down the rabbit hole of social media and convincing myself it's for the business. Yeah, for me, it's scheduling, and also, as Rarin says, as the bigger that living koko gets and that I can hand some tasks to other individuals too, the more it's almost like I'm buying back my own time, and I feel like I'm having a bit more room to breathe, and that breath I can give into my family.
In a sense, it's so beautiful that now, in your cases, you are so busy as business women, as entrepreneurs, and you have to find quality time with your families, and that's what it counts. It's not just being with each other and doing nothing, but having quality time with each other. I have one last question. Actually, it's important for WFWP because it has to do with recycling. And as you heard, no, I don't think you heard because it was in the earlier session, we have a project which is Giving for Good and has to do with taking care of our environment. And so it is for you, again, Ms. Pongma, you have a plan to include a recycling project to help deal with the environmental issues. Well, this I asked before, isn't it? So I don't know,
Yes, I think so.
Oh, okay, there is another one, sorry, because I have so many here, I get mixed up a little bit. So when you join Milan Fashion Week, does Thai government have some kind of subsidy for small and medium enterprise? This was a question.
Oh, in Milan Fashion Week, the one that I go by myself, because we do collaboration with Anna Della Russo. She's Italian. So we are invited to her fashion show and we decide the shoes for her show. But yes, it's right. I think Thai government, they have the support. They have like a support team to help the young entrepreneur and also small and medium business also. But in my case, I go by myself, so different.
Okay, thank you. So we are coming to an end of this webinar, and we enjoyed very much your beautiful presentations, your important initiatives, your courage, taking risks, and well, investing all that you could and still can to make them even more successful in the future. That's what we wish you and your businesses. We wish that for you as people, as persons, and in your business, in your family and businesses. So thank you very much for joining us as speakers in this webinar. We also thank our participants because we have had many participants listening to your stories, and we wish all of you a very good weekend and week and the future. Thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.